Greetings, hello, and welcome to the temple. I'm your High Priestess, Erin Suniva McHugh. I welcome you into this temple today, and I welcome your higher self into this space. I welcome the presence of the highest consciousness, highest love, highest compassion. I ask for the divine to hold us in the light today. I welcome the benevolent teachers and weavers of the divine plan to grace this space, to support the expansion and sharing of spiritual experience and education. This is the place where we witness the work we talk about. We can be present for the unfolding of hearts, returning to their true medicine. And you may be called to this space today because you are seeking connection to your own divinity, or you are seeking a space where you can truly dive into your inherent perfection. It's time to remember how to heal, to walk the path of love, and to participate in the restoration of the divine plan on earth. And so it is. Welcome, welcome, my friends. Deep breath. Deep breath. Come on in. Please say hello. Let me know that you're here. It's funny, just missing a week coming back is like, where are we? What do we need to talk about? What do we need to catch up on? And I want to start by really anchoring in some specific energies today, because we have less than a week. We have 6 days until Mary Magdalene's feast. And hello, dear Sister Ruth. Hello, glad that you're here. And, of course hello, Noelle. Of course, these feasts, right, are assigned by the church. We can acknowledge them or not. We can acknowledge the medicine of any wonderful avatar on the planet any day of the week, right? But when there is that concentration of energy towards an individual or a particular frequency that's been anchored on the earth by a human, it can actually be incredibly powerful for all of us. So let's call her in, shall we? I call in the presence of our higher selves, our highest selves. I welcome the presence of Divine Master Teacher, Mary Magdalene, in her highest consciousness and in her dragon form. We welcome the lineage of the rose, the sisterhood and the brotherhood of the rose. We welcome the energy of the blue ray lineage and the Sophias. We welcome the union of the Christos Sophia within each of us to bloom, to brighten, and to guide us on our paths, connected to source, connected to purpose and divine mission. We are so grateful for the opportunity to connect, and let us connect to the heart fire as well, anchored from the highest light of creation, the blue flame of Sophia, the emerald crystal heart flame, the white Christed flame, and the triple solar dragon flame. Held in the center of this container, acknowledged in the center of each of our beings, and anchored by Mother Gaia. Thank you so much. Oh, wonderful teacher, I welcome you into this space, and you might have felt a shifting of energy as the Magdalene comes in. A little bit of history. I met Mary in 2008. I was spontaneously invited to a women's circle in New York City. where I lived at the time. And little did I know that in this women's circle, we were going to be receiving our initiations into the Sisterhood of the Rose. And next week, my guest is going to be a very beloved dear sister who was there in that circle and who introduced me to Mary Magdalene. And so we will be honoring her. She is the one who held the space for me to receive my ordination as well. She was a teacher for some time in my life, a great friend, Shannon Smith. So she will be joining me next week. But before then, we will be opening this space, opening the frequency that the teachings that Mary held and walked with and continued past the, we'll say, quote, crucifixion of Christ, whether he died or not, right? There's mystery. Whether he lived or not, right? Whether they lived or not. Honestly, we're not here to discuss that. We're here to share the medicine, the path of love, and the way of being that is guided by Christ consciousness, but especially the feminine aspect, which is the Sophionic principle. And many believe, I believe, that Mary Magdalene was the embodiment of Sophia. And just as Mother Isis was also the embodiment of Sophia, just as you might be the embodiment of Sophia. We all have within this the creator principle. Whether you are in a masculine body or a feminine body, we carry source within us, right? And those who actually carry the life stream or the womb within us, we are even more source, right? Than the other half of humanity. But source itself, outside of the Abrahamic religions that place it upon a male god, we know that everything comes from a womb. Everything starts as a seed, everything is fertilized, and everything is birthed in one way or another. And that birthing happens through the mother. Wonderful teachings that come from Mary are, one of the aspects is to remind you that you are source. And that everything in creation is here because you have brought it, because you have agreed to it, and because you agreed to come here and affirm it. Just by being present, by seeing, acknowledging, and saying yes. This is the power that we hold as individuals as well as collectives, the power that we often refer to these days as manifestation. But we have the power to agree or to believe that something is true or not true. And within that structure of belief, our reality is created. There are aspects of our reality that are held within our body. Our relationship to spirit, our relationship to the universe, to God's source, and how we connect to it. In the Christian tradition, you have what are called the 7 deadly sins. That is a masculine control mechanism. The feminine viewpoint is very different. Just as the 10 Commandments came from the 42 confirmations of Ma'at, and we've talked about that before. So there are And isn't it quite common for the church to appropriate something and change it and turn it into a you better behave, right? But here we have not the 7 deadly sins, we have the 7 powers. And the 7 powers are energies that are held within our bodies, right? They are archetypical, but they are not assigned to, an archetype in the way that they might be personified. But they are energies that are held within our beings that lead us to salvation, lead us to evolution, ascension, enlightenment, growth, healing, alignment, oneness, right? So whatever you call it, whatever your goal is, if it's just simply living a good life and being a healed human, you're in the right place, right? We are going to talk about the 7 powers today. And I'm going to move rather quickly through them because, this is a larger piece of work. And I'm going to be, many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with this book, Mary Magdalene Revealed, The First Apostle, Her Feminist Gospel, and the Christianity We Haven't Tried Yet by Meggan Watterson. So Meggan Watterson, a little bit of background here. Meggan Watterson went into seminary in order to learn, not to preach, to become a priest, but in order to have access to the libraries and the scholarly information that only those who are in seminary are allowed to read. These are secret archives. These are Vatican archives that unless you are of the frock, you don't have access. So she went into the Vatican with that, veneer of scholarly research in order to uncover the truth. And a lot of what she uncovered were prominent women of biblical times that probably should have been included in the stories of the Gospels, right? But they weren't. Let alone the way that Mary's story was dramatically altered in order to favor the narrative of the Christian religion. So, is there anyone out there that still believes that Mary was a prostitute? Is there anyone out there that believes that Mary was a penitent sinner? I would really love to hear from you. If this is something that you still believe, and I'm not going to admonish you for it, but I'm going to bring you into the truth. My beloved teacher, Miss Mary Magdalene, was a priestess of Isis. That's what Mary meant. Mary is a title. So Miriam, that's a name. Miriam of Magdala. And what does Magdalene mean? Magdalene means tower. Magdala was a tower, and so she was the woman of the tower. But it was the name of a town, Magdala. And interestingly enough, the lizard brain, right? The part of ourself that can hold us in fight or flight, fear or fawn, the amygdala, right? So there are secret teachings woven into all of this information, all of these, these histories and herstories that are here for us to regain our sovereignty, our personal power, and the privilege of walking this path, the path of love. So, as a priestess of Isis, Mary was initiated into, and not just initiated into, she had become a master of the rites of Isis and Horus, which are sexual rites. But they are not for achieving orgasm, and they're not for pleasure. They're for healing. Pleasure is a side effect, right? But they're for healing the body, healing the spirit, for healing the self, and for healing others, for empowering, for anchoring power in the body with the Kundalini, right? As well as connecting greater to spirit. So she was already well initiated, well learned, and so was he. Remember that there were 12 years missing in Yeshua's history. And some say that he went to the East, he went to India, some say he went to Egypt, and some say he went to the Sacred Isles, right? And studied with the Druids. So all of that doesn't really matter, because what matters is that these two beings are beloveds, they're counterparts, right? Together they are whole. They're whole unto themselves, and together they are the Hieros Gamos. Okay, what is Hieros Gamos? Anyone? Anyone? Class? Bueller? Excuse me. So Hieros Gamos, union. To put it very simply, union between the masculine and the feminine. You can experience that within yourself. You can experience that with a counterpart. It doesn't matter. Honestly, it doesn't matter, whether you're heterosexual, homosexual, pansexual, all in between, who the bodies are that are participating. One is harnessing the masculine and one is harnessing the feminine. And together your kundalinis rise and move through the body, healing the energy centers, cleansing and purifying the energy centers as you move up the body. And the Kundalini cobra or dragon, however you decide to see it, brings the cerebral fluid up the spine to come all the way around and drop into the cerebellum, and to receive nirvana, right? To receive enlightenment, right? The lightening of the mind, right? So we can do that work, and we can also do the inner work, which leads us to the 7 powers. I wanted to make sure to share this really quick. Excuse me, I forgot to. And okay, all right. She's telling me something. She's telling me to share a song. Just share this on my page real quick. Oh my goodness, where's the share button? All right. Goodness. Just do the thing. Okay. So, as we are here in the temple and we are here to discuss important things and talk about spirit in a certain way, we're going to start with a song. My sister, I present you to my mother. My sister, I present you to my father. My sister, I present you to my family. My brothers and my sisters are with me. My sister, I present you to my family. My brothers and my sisters are with me. My sister, I present you to my garden. My sister, I present you to the earth. Sitting here upon the sacred mother, the blessings and the love all come from her. Sitting here upon the sacred mother, the blessings and the love all come from her. Guided by divine beings, whose shining light envelops us, we have arrived to the golden room. The heart of Sophia welcomes us. We have arrived to the golden room. The heart of Sophia welcomes us. She's here to reveal the secret truth. When you place her rose upon your heart, healing all the sacred pains from the divine path you'll never part. Healing all the sacred pains from the divine path you'll never part. So, excuse me, in the work that I have done with Mary these last 18 years, I have learned the most in the last few, especially since this book came out. Incredibly helpful for, sharing new information, as well as speaking truth that so many of us have thought, so many of us have probably come to and not been able to articulate. And once again, if you just got here, I'm talking about Mary Magdalene Revealed by Megan Watterson. She also has a companion oracle, the Divine Feminine Oracle. She also has, I'm not sure if it's released yet, she created an audiobook, just straight to audiobook, about Thecla. And we will talk about Thecla, because Thecla's story is one of my favorites. But what I have learned is that these 7 powers, can you guess, are associated with what? The 7 energy centers or chakras of the body. And this, brings things to another level as well. Have any of you read this book? Are you familiar? Please share in the comments. Do you know this book? Are you familiar with the 7 powers? So, the first power is darkness, emptiness. The first power is that place where you are unmade, where you are uncreated yet, right? And within this place, we are actually, so even though it's the first power, it's actually correlating with the crown. And I actually checked this with my dowsing rods, because initially I was like, well, this must be, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? No. Because we're also, it's very likely that these can correlate up and down. Excuse me. It's very likely that these can be related to different parts of the bodies as well, different organs, different emotions, right? So But when I was dowsing and I was communing with Mary, it was the strongest realization that the first power is in the crown, darkness. Of course, we relate the first chakra, or excuse me, the seventh chakra, or the crown, with light, right? The upper chakras are about connection and spirit and enlightening. But this is the place where if we are not connected, resourced, grounded in ourselves, and healing our relationship with the outer world, we are what? We're in darkness. That light is not activated. And this is also the place where we might think that we are connected and where we're being fooled, or that what we think is connection is like a minor thing, right? So within this space of darkness, we actually can allow ourselves, this is the first step of going from darkness to light, deciding that you are ready for healing, deciding that you are ready to step out of the darkness, right, and into the light. And that's the first power. It's that decision. I want happiness. I want health. I'm ready for joy. I'm ready for prosperity. I'm ready for this. That is you facing the darkness within you that is keeping you from that, so that you can accept what might be here, to accept the pain or the potential damage or trauma that has impacted your relationship to spirit and kept you from it, right? I'm going to read this little quote. This is from Megan Watterson talking about the first power of darkness. What have we forgotten? If I could start again, I would install an altar within me. I would place the most sacred object within it, my own heart. If I could start again, I would know that the only cathedral I've ever needed to find, to enter, to return to again and again is this humble red hermitage, this mystical space that holds all the answers. I would begin again inside my heart, and I would live this way, speaking from it. I love to take people to the temple of the heart. It is the place of illumination. It is a key aspect of the priestess path, having access to the temple of the heart, the inner world. And if you don't have a relationship with the center of your being, you might be in that darkness. But you have to be in the initiator. You have to be in that place where I'm ready to see the light, to move out of darkness, and to face whatever demons might be here, to face whatever stories that need to be reflected within, so that I can change them, so that I can improve, so that I can heal myself. The second power is craving. Let's go to that chapter. So in this section of the book, So this book is so so great. I'll tell you why again. Because she pulls quotes from the Gospel of Mary. She brings forward accurate historical stories of women from biblical times. And she shares her own personal experience. So there's like a little bit of allegory. There's a little bit of direct gospel process, as well as internal experience. But here with craving, the second power is craving. And this is where we have the story of Thecla. And I will move through this quickly because it's a good story, but I love to tell it. So Thecla, after the crucifixion, she would follow Paul around. And being a woman, she was not allowed into the rooms where Paul would proselytize. And she would sit by the windows of these houses and listen to him and feel that power and the connection of speaking about God and speaking about Christ and really feeling that connection. And she asked Paul many times to baptize her. She knew that it was her destiny. It was her purpose to be connected to God and maybe to even, speak of God and Christ and be of this baptismal level, right? And they were baptizing people all the time, even when they had to practice in secret, right? So Paul kept refusing to baptize this young woman. At one point, she had, it's like, I believe that her father had basically sold her to a wealthy merchant. And this merchant said, "You're going to be my wife, and you must, bend to me now." And she refused to marry him. She refused, and and he even attacked her in the street and tried to rape her in front of Paul in the street. And she's like screaming for the people around to help her, and no one would help her, including Paul, even though she had been following Paul. Paul knew her, knew who she was, right? And she, gosh, just trying to like graze through this, but so I'm gonna skip over a lot of details here, but the main thing, hi Pansy, the main thing is that she called on God in that moment that she was under attack, and the man was struck down. And she saw in that moment her direct connection to Source, to Creator, who protected her. And there's a lot more to this story, but the main thing was that she realized, and that her desire, her craving to know God, and to know God even more, even greater within herself, brought her to a place of power. And that power protected her. And so then she realized she didn't need anyone to baptize her. She didn't need anybody to baptize her. So she baptized herself. Have you ever baptized yourself? I have. It's a powerful thing. And interestingly, as women of wombs, we are inherently deeply connected to the water. And I really welcome Sharon. I mean, if anybody should be providing baptisms, it's the women. Right? So she, she had other things that she had to, fight against. But she even protected herself from vicious animals that were sent against her. Like, there was this whole scenario turned against this woman, this young woman. And she believed in herself. And she baptized herself in front of a crowd of people. The scripture reads, "All the women cried out in a loud voice, as if from one mouth, praising Thecla's courage. In saving herself by baptizing herself in front of everyone, anointing herself with the light of God in front of everyone." Okay? Thecla has unified the force of love in all the women around her. Oh, I got chills. In freeing herself, she has freed them. I swear this is the non-spoken slogan of my work. In freeing myself, I free you. The more that I heal myself, you are healed also. The more that you heal yourself, your sister is also healed. Your sister is empowered. Every time a woman stands up for herself, the women heal, even if it's just a little bit. And what we've been experiencing, I would probably say since 2012, my head is saying 2008, okay? But what we've been experiencing collectively is a return, right? The rising of the divine feminine. We've heard this. This is a trope. Just a trope meaning a phrase, right? That's kind of being overused. The return of the divine feminine. We don't need to return. We're here, right? The return has happened. And now we are here and we're healing ourselves. We're embodying the divine feminine, the goddess, the priestess, the medicine woman, whoever you are, however she is expressed within you authentically, right? This is us taking our place while the patriarchy destroys itself like it should, like it would, right? So this is the third eye, the craving, that knowing within you, that intuition that says, I already am connected. I don't need you to tell me what my own self can see. And I certainly don't need you to tell me that I am not worthy. Woo, more chills. Nobody can tell you whether or not you are worthy of God, goddesses, love. No one. And no one can tell you whether or not you have a connection. And no one needs to be the intermediary of that connection. So we move from the third eye, from craving, right? So we go from darkness to, I want that, right? And you can also think of like the baby who's hungry and ready to suckle. It's a craving for life. It's a craving for sustenance. And so then we go from this craving to moving into the throat chakra, which is ignorance. And the third power is ignorance. Now, the story that is told here, let's find the right page. The story that's told here is about another young woman, the daughter of a king, who is mistreated and who is made to do things, and she refuses, but she still, with total love, because she has faith, because she has direct connection to source, she is able to manifest miracles and to still love those who persecute you, or persecute her, including her own father, who is king. But within her own truth, she could see the ignorance around her. And one of this, excuse me, one of the aspects of this, which I think, this definitely correlates to the throat, is her willingness to not waver from the truth, even while witnessing ignorance around her. And that she did not ever feel that she had to really say anything. This was an energy that she held within herself. Her own faith was an energy that could not be deterred, could not be shaken. And so she experienced miracles. Her hands were cut off, and she prayed, and sticks grew out of her arms and created new hands. Right? So the devil is a part of this story, tricking her father and all of these things. And the whole time she held truth. She really feels like Kuan Yin to me a little bit in this way that, and I'm not actually, I don't know if she's Asian. She might be Asian for some reason. That it makes me think that she's Asian. I'm not sure why. Maybe it says somewhere, but I have not reviewed. I just want you to know I have not reviewed in the last few months. I review every time that we go through the mentorship, but it's been a couple months. So what this young woman was able to do was to bring her father back into the light, from the trickery, from the demon, from the devil, right? Into the awareness of the holiness, of the divinity of his own child, and the presence of spirit in her, right? The note that I have at the bottom of the story here is the place of ignorance is the place where we hold fear and trauma. To love God self completely and unconditionally, we are freed of this ignorance and of this power over us. So when we love ourselves as God, knowing that we are the divine in form, we have the ability to create miracles. We have the ability to hold the light within us so that others around us can come to the light. And so that parts of ourselves also can come to the light. How do you take this in? How does this land with you, as we say? Can you recognize that you are God also? Can you acknowledge that within yourself? The fourth power is the craving for death. Okay. Where was it? Sorry, I'm getting pulled into the book. So, the craving for death. The parable in this part of the book is a story about the author being on a boat in her relationship with the captain of the boat. And the energy of craving for death, it's not about the fear of death. It's not about the fear of, what happens when we die. But it is the craving for what happens when we die. For being it, it's a shift from the craving itself, craving to connect to God, to Source, to Christ, but to crave death so that you can be a part of the transformation, so that you can enter into the oneness. She uses the ocean as this, representative of the one consciousness. And here she is out on a boat, definitely susceptible to the oneness, right? But on the surface of it, and with the presence of fear, because out on a boat in the middle of the ocean, even an ounce of fear, there's the presence of fear, right? But here we have, where are my notes? Thanks for sticking with me, guys. Oh, I guess I didn't write notes on this one. Oh, that's weird. I have so many notes in this book. I'm like, how do I not have notes on this section? But the craving. Here we go. Is this okay? Sometimes life can be so challenging that we're ready for what comes next. This is not suicidal, right? This is the part of you that might need to surrender. This is the part of you that has no control and needs to acknowledge you are not in control, right? This is why, she had to come to terms with her relationship with the captain and surrender herself to trust him. That while surrounded by potential disaster or death, that she could actually surrender to what is and enjoy what was happening, right? This is a huge, piece of the heart, right? These conflicts that we can have within ourselves, that we want to grow, but we're afraid. We want to connect to everything, but we're afraid. Whether we're afraid of growth, change, judgment, right? Like things being different, we can be really afraid of that kind of change. Like, what happens if things are not the same anymore? What happens if I heal? What happens if my connection to Source is so great that I don't want to be here anymore? That I just want to be with Source? And that moment, that eye of the needle, is the place where we have the opportunity to surrender to the joy the presence with a T, the present of this now moment, right? That you can be here in oneness, connected to everything, and you can still have that fear, but come into that divine connection and surrender to the joy of living. This is the healing of the shadow of the craving for death. All of these 7 powers are shadows, right? They're parts of ourselves that we don't really want to, we might not want to acknowledge, we might not want to look at, right? But they're actually, and we've referred to them as powers because the power lies within the harnessing of this energy and the having a relationship with this shadow aspect of your experience. So for the ignorance, for the third power being ignorance, right? Your own fear, your own lack of understanding, right? Your own inability to trust leaves you in this place of unknowing. And so then you can't connect, even though you're craving for that connection. But once you acknowledge connection, even if you don't totally feel it, and you surrender to it, then that ignorance disappears because now you are in the knowing. And then when you are in the knowing and you can surrender to the greatness or the oneness of spirit, then you can trust that your desire to die, your desire to be closer to God, doesn't need to be a driving force. You can allow yourself to experience the oneness with God right now by surrendering to what is. So the next power is the enslavement to the physical body. And we're going through this process of letting go, right? Letting go. And now we have this presence of ego, right? That's all, I mean, it's always been here. But when it comes to the physical form and the enslavement to the body, this is prime ego real estate, you know? So in this parable, I don't remember. Oh, this is actually the story of Kuan Yin. See, I get these all like mixed up. I knew Kuan Yin was in here. It's so funny. I don't even know how many times I've read this book. And then when I come to like talk about it, I'm like, wait, which story are we on? Okay. So this is the story of Kuan Yin. I'm looking at my notes. And yeah, so this is similar to the story of the maiden who, you know, created sticks for hands. Because she was being forced to marry. So I am confusing these stories. Why do I always confuse these stories? Anyway, the main lesson here with Kuan Yin is that her father really doubts her, and that she is, really forced to sacrifice parts of herself, right? And what she does is that she allows mercy to be the driving force in her experience. And she gives back to him that which was never hers, because the ego tells you. So guys, I was wrong. I was wrong about the stick thing. That's in Kuan Yin's story. See what I was like? Oh, I think this is about Kuan Yin, because the stick story is about Kuan Yin. So let me give you more of this story here. So her name is Miao, or Meow, Miao. So gosh, I don't want to just read to you guys, so I'm trying to not do that, but I kind of have to. Okay. News reaches Maya, and this is after she's been kind of swept away by a bad guy. The king, her father, is deathly ill, and the only way for the king to live is to receive the eyes and arms of a person who no longer experiences anger. Maya immediately gives her eyes and her arms in order to save the king, her father. Now I'm going to have to go review the other story, because I'm like, what am I missing here? What did I mix up? But she gives her eyes and her arms to her father in order to save him. She sacrificed herself. The king receives her eyes and arms and is restored to health. For the first time in the king's life, he feels grateful. And with that newfound gratitude, he becomes curious about who exactly saved his life. He wanted to meet his savior. He is told that a beautiful hermit living in a remote cave is the reason he is alive. And so he travels to her cave in order to honor her, and is for this profoundly selfless act. When he sees that the person who saved his life is Maya, the daughter that he had tried to marry off against her will, had banished to be a chaste nun on a desolate island, had attempted to burn her out of her home, and had ordered to be executed simply for being the radiant soul that she is. At this, the king falls to his knees at her feet, transfixed by the magnitude of her mercy. Mercy, right? And we call Kuan Yin that she's like the goddess of compassion, but she's also the mother of mercy. She gives all of his limited beliefs back to him. And then he is able to see out through her eyes and move in the world with the same love that guided her. Forgiving him unbinds her. Forgiving him means that she realigns with the law of the universe, which is inherently merciful. The universal law of giving is receiving. Giving is receiving, right? Mercy. So there's the prayer, and this is there's a rosary for this prayer as well. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me. Mercy is at the heart of the prayer of the heart. Mercy is the power of Christ, yes, a power that isn't a power over, but a power with. Mercy is about a perpetual transference of power. Mercy is the energetic exchange at the heart of the universe. And the Divine Mother, these are my words now, mercy is the Divine Mother endlessly loving you. Mercy is unconditional love, right? So in this experience, we move from, I don't need this, right? This is not this is not holding me back. Here, take of my body, so that you can have life. Right? She gives herself so that he can be free. So she relieved herself of the enslavement to the physical body for the sake of healing. Right? So that is the fifth power. Now we go to the sixth power, the false peace of the flesh. P-E-A-C-E, the false peace of the flesh. So the false peace of the flesh is, it really makes sense to be right up next to the enslavement of the physical body. Part of the work that we have to do is not to escape our bodies, right? But also not to end here. Not to think that this is the end all be all, right? It isn't a failure to feel human or to be broken by heartbreak. That's the whole point. Why are we here? The choice we have, the opportunity that's presented to us in moments of exquisite pain, is to remember the soul. We can bring in the other half of what it means to be human, not right away, or not, at least not at first. We can just let it sit on the shoulder or on our back pocket. And even that little presence of light might help us to move through pain differently than we had before. When we remember our soul, the body and the pain in the body is lessened. The body being all that we are, being in that mindset that the body is all that we are, creates suffering. So when we are in suffering already, and we connect to source and we connect to our own soul, we relieve our suffering. Try not to curse the pain or avoid it, or to feel like a failure because of it. Try not to run from it, numb it. Try to see it as a chance to reach a love that can withstand it. Not permanently, nothing is permanent. Just in this moment. That's all that matters. Find the presence of love in those moments when before you had abandoned yourself. Even if it's just a little love, a grain of sand, or a mustard seed, your love is enough. This experience does not end here. And as we move through these portals of change and healing and empowerment, we are again and again and again facing ourselves, right? And this is the path of love. I mean, what's the common denominator here? Faith, trust, and love. Compassion. And not only for the self, but for the other, especially for the other. For they may not know what they do, right? Finally, we come to the seventh power, the compulsion of rage. Now, as I go through this, I see how we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 through the chakras, but we can also go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 the other way as well, which is how I saw it before. And I see it both ways. And so take it as you will. Align with it how you feel best. Where does rage originate? The compulsion of rage. There is a power, and I feel this especially as a woman. There is a power that is connected to rage. There is a thread within it that connects all women to experiences that ignite rage. And I, even from my own privileged and ignorant seat, I will say that women have a greater right to be rageful than anyone. But that giving over to it is the darkness, is the shadow, right? There is a collective compulsion for rage right now. We can very easily tap into it. There are so many things to be enraged about these days, more than ever. I could list them and it would take me hours, right? I'm not going to do that. Because when we give ourselves over to an energy that creates and maybe even magnifies pain, we are doing a disservice to spirit. We're doing a disservice to ourselves, to our own spirit, to creation. No one outside of you should ever be given the power to name you or the burden of it. You carry the light. You carry the weight of knowing who you are. That is your responsibility and honor. When you know and name who you are, that is how time stops. How this moment right here goes back to the past and heals now what broke you back then. Owning your power, not giving over to heavy and intense and maybe even dangerous emotions, but owning that rage within you, but not giving over to it. I'm reminded of this experience that I had the other day of how when someone knows your name, if they don't like you, they can use your name against you. It's like, what was it? I'm trying to remember exactly, but it's almost like if the fairies know your name, it's helpful. But if the wrong ones know your name, it's dangerous. Right? So it's like the fable of Rumpelstiltskin. Once you knew his name, you had power over him. If you can hold the power of your name, which means the power of your spirit, and you can anchor that, and all that you hold in this life, in your soul, in your experiences, all that you hold within the power of your name cannot be used against you. But you have to be in right relations with the power, with the ego, with the rage, right? With your connection and your relationship to God, right? Source, whatever you call it. Your name was given to you by an energy, a force, a creative, animistic energy that animates spirit within your creation. When you acknowledge pain, acknowledge suffering, acknowledge rage, but do not give in to it, and stay in the heart of compassion, stay in the heart of the mother who loves unconditionally, then you can overcome that burden. You can overcome that which would be seeking to control you and have power over you. And what do we know about what happens when we allow our anger to get the better of us? There's something invisible feeding off of that. And while that's happening, you are slowly, or maybe quickly, being disempowered, losing your sovereignty, losing your sense of self. When you have that unconditional love for yourself, no matter what you're experiencing, no matter what you're going through, having unconditional love for the moment of saying, I know that whatever this is that's happening, it serves me, and so I'm going to trust it, because everything that happens in my life happens for me, because I am directly and inherently, infinitely connected to one God source, that I have the power within me to overcome any challenges, and that I can rise up above all of it. Because I am connected, I am love, and I am loved. I am connected. I am compassionate. I am healing the wounds within me. And I am healed. Anyone with 2 ears capable of hearing should listen. This is deep listening. This is not just, what did you say? Right? With eyes to see and ears to hear. But in the Gospel of Mary, she says, it's not for those with 2 eyes to see and with 2 ears to hear. It's that if you have the capacity to listen deeply, then do it. If you have the capacity to see with the eyes of wisdom and compassion and loving grace, do it. Oh, Kitty, can you hear my cat crying behind the door? Once again, this is Mary Magdalene Revealed by Megan Watterson. I actually think this was, when was this printed? I mean, it's not very old. I thought 2018, 2019. This book is 7 years old, guys. Everyone, friends, ladies. Let the wisdom of your being, your ability to soften, surrender. Let me let my cat in. I can't stand it. Let me let him in. To soften, to surrender. Where are you crying, mister? What's up? You want to come in or not? such a kitty cat. So from this place, let us be in the place of surrendering to our connection, allowing compassion to be ever present, allowing or knowing that we are source and that we are always connected to source. Let this be held deep within your being. Let this journey through yourself and your healing experience be filled with grace, be filled with mercy. And may you trust. May you trust so greatly in yourself, in your source and your connection to the greater oneness of all, so that we can all move through these challenging times together in a good way, making decisions individually, collectively, that serve the whole, that serve the light, and help to restore that which has been inverted, to restore what has been turned on its head, to put the woman and her leadership in the right place. And I want to say that, we talk a lot about matriarchy. Matriarchy does not mean that women are in charge. Matriarchy puts the children at the center, the future of the utmost importance, which places the mother then in the next important position, along with the elder, right? There are different structures of ways that matriarchy has been held within indigenous cultures around the world in ways that we were before polytheism came along, before monotheism came along, where the goddess, where the mother was the central pillar. We may not be able to return to that place where the mother is the central pillar, but the Holy Trinity, the mother, the father, and the Holy Child, that does not have to be pinned down to any particular religion, because that is humanity. That is survival. That is balance. No matter where you come from, you have a mother, you have a father, you are the Holy Child. Recognize yourself. And if you are orphaned, I don't mean to laugh, but right? Like I can hear, well, what if I'm you still have your mother and your father in spiritual form. Divine encompassing all father, all mother, right? So I don't believe that any of you who have been present with me here are religious Christians or Catholics, right? But I know that you can feel the truth deep within your being. And you do not and will not need to be fooled or controlled because you know the truth. So let us embody that sacred trinity within ourselves, our masculine, our feminine, our sacred creation. I love you all so much. Thank you for being here with me today through this process. And through my own, humble fumblings of these stories and teachings, we're always on this path. None of us are masters. We're all continuing to bring the truth out from our bellies and wombs up to be spoken and heard and shared. Take from it what you will, and leave the rest. My energy stays with me. Your energy stays with you. We give great love and gratitude to Sophia, Isis, and Mary. Thank you for your teachings, and thank you, Megan Watterson, for your wonderful book and your divine feminine leadership. Blessings to you all, and we'll see you next week with Shannon Smith to tell more stories about Mary and the wonderful teacher that she is. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.